Hey, what's up, guys? Joe here to give you an insight into easily, in my opinion, the most underrated villain in the entirety of Dragon Ball Z, Dr. Gero. I've been rereading the Androids arc in the manga for a couple of weeks now, and I began thinking, no one ever really, when people think of DBZ villains or just Dragon Ball villains in general, no one ever really talks about Dr. Gero, and I think that's a real pity because he really had a big impact on the story and posed a much greater threat than people give him credit for. A lot of people just view him as like this weak android wannabe who never really got to fight much, which is true, but he never really got to fight much except for, when he got his ass beat by Piccolo, you know, um, but I still think he's a really underrated villain, and here's why. Dr. Gero is the creator of the androids, right? He captured 17 and 18, converted them into cyborgs, and then created Android 19, right? And obviously he created Cell. I think that just for that alone, he's one of the greatest villains of the series because first off, he shows that he's number one a sadistic bastard because he could have made 17 and 18 purely like synthetic androids like 16, right? Or 19. But like he was just so sadistic that he had to kidnap teenagers, runaway teenagers, and convert them into cyborgs against their will, only for the sole purpose that they would be used as food for his ultimate creation Cell, which would be like a bio android of destruction, meant for the sole purpose of like killing like fucking everyone, right? Like that, like that alone, like that in my opinion, I think he deserves credit for that. I also think that he deserves credit for being one of the more human villains in the series. I know you have Mercenary Tao, who is a pretty badass villain in my opinion. Um, Not as cool as Dr. Zero, but still a pretty cool villain. He's one of the more human villains, obviously, because he is a human. He is a human. He's not an alien like Frieza, or created to be evil like Majin Buu. He had he is a human being who was capable of making his own individual choices, and was capable of choosing between right and wrong, right? He's a human being. One of the people who Goku spent his life, who the Z fighters have spent their lives trying to protect, right? Well, from the Saiyans, from not Frieza, but from King Piccolo, and later, obviously, from Majin Buu and so on, everyone else. Like just to think that Doctor Gero, this human being who again, Goku's all about all life is sacred, but here he is, one of the lives he protected essentially, turning against him and like wanting to fuck everyone over, right? And it carries over into the future timeline. The future timeline is especially brutal because, like, if Dr. Gero had not made the choice to kidnap 17 and 18 and convert them into cyborgs in the future timeline, like, can you imagine? Like, things would be okay, right? Like, no one would be dead, but Dragon Balls would still be there. Vegeta, Goku, Piccolo, everyone else would still be alive, right? But it all stems back to Dr. Gero, right? He's the root of all that. He's the root of all that destruction. He's the root of everything. The androids, Cell, everything. He's the root of all that. And I think it's more impactful than Babidi, in my opinion, because, Babidi, Babidi didn't, like, Dr. Gero created Cell, right? But Babidi didn't create Majin Buu. It was his father. And on top of that, Babidi like had no fucking idea like what he was doing when he was releasing Majin Buu. He had no idea that he would turn out to be like a fat pink like I guess giant pink genie baby with like a purple cape, right? But Gero knew what he was doing. Gero was sadistic enough to just create these androids to kill everyone, right? Why he did that, why he wanted to do that, remains a mystery. I don't think it's ever stated why he created Cell, or at least it's implied. It's never outright stated. We don't know if maybe actually. Here's another interesting thing about Gero. We find out that Android 16 is modeled off of Dr. Gero's son, right? Now that not only gives an interesting bit of insight into his character, it also raises the question. So we know Dr. Gero's son is dead, right? Apparently he died in, like, the army, right? When he was, on duty? When he was fighting, on the front lines of the Red Ribbon Army? I'm pretty sure about that. I'm pretty sure that's what Toriyama said. So that got me thinking. Could Dr. Gero's son's death sort of be the catalyst, or, like, the reason that he became evil in the first place? Could that be the case? That's another thing I find interesting about him, is that we don't really know his past. We don't really know. All we know is that he was part of a Red Ribbon Army, which is interesting because we don't even see him in Dragon Ball. We don't see him in the original Dragon Ball. We only see him in Z, right? When the Red Ribbon Army was in Dragon Ball, we didn't see him then, but we find out that he was part of the Red Ribbon Army in Z. So it leaves a lot of, like, open-endedness into his backstory, and, like, a lot of, like, speculating, and a lot of, like, fan theories that are, you know, available, right? Like, you can just, like, draw your own conclusions, and that's what I love about him, about his past, about his, you know, what we don't know about it, what we don't know about his character, aside from he's a sadistic, bad to the bone, complete bastard mad scientist that, like, you know, fucking, like, hated everyone except his son, and, you know, was the root of, destroyed at least 2 timelines, and almost destroyed 1 timeline, the main timeline, but did still have an impact, because, like, Dr. Gero inadvertently did fulfill his goal, and that's one of the other things. He's one of the few villains of the series to actually fulfill his goal, which was to get revenge on Goku. Oh, and to kill humanity and stuff like that, because that was what, I'm pretty sure that's what Cell was designed for, right? Like, he was designed to just kill and destroy, right? And obviously to get revenge on Goku. And Gero got his revenge, albeit posthumously, when Goku sacrificed himself against Cell, and then it turned out to be all for nothing. That's another thing you gotta love about Gero. He succeeded in his mission. Again, posthumously, but still. He got his revenge on Goku, and he essentially won. Now, granted, Goku comes back 7 years later, but until then, you know, the fact that he actually succeeded in getting his revenge, you know, that, I think, you know, speaks for itself. So yeah, Dr. Gero is, you know, so this was a pretty quick video I made, but yeah, Dr. Gero is a really cool villain. Dr. Gero is underrated, severely underappreciated. I love his character. I love how sadistic he is. I love how much of a mad scientist bastard he is, kidnapping teenagers and shit, like, you know, stuff like that. I think it's a pity that we didn't see at least a reference to him in the, you know, in the future Trunks saga of Dragon Ball Super, because I feel like, you know, the enemy in the future Trunks saga would have worked better if it had some sort of link to Dr. Gero. Because, like, I feel like that's the only threat that, you know, that future Trunks should be allowed to face. It should all stem back to Dr. Gero, like the androids, like Cell. It only makes sense, right? You know, Dr. Gero, like, started all the destruction in that timeline anyway. It only makes sense for that, for him to, you know, for some sort of creation of his to continue that. But yeah, I just thought that was a shame. But yeah, you know, like I said, I love Dr. Gero, love him. Sorry I kind of went off on a tangent there about the Future Trunks saga, but, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day, and in case I don't make a video again for a while, Merry Christmas.